So we have some questions. We ask listeners to write in, and they've known that you guys were coming. They had a lot of questions when Jennifer and Mark were on a few months ago.
You mean John?
They did not. John. Sorry, John. John and Jennifer were on a few months ago, and they didn't disappoint this time either. So I got a few for both of you, but this one comes from Melissa in Arlington, Virginia, and it's for either one of you. Is there any hope that the senators I can't read this right here. Is there any hope that senators may be absent and lower the threshold to reach the 2/3 majority required for conviction?
That's a good, hopeful question, but probably not, Melissa. I don't think that many of them are going to call out sick tomorrow.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's they voting no or voting yes is one thing, but saying that you took a 6-day on the vote for impeachment would be a tough one to defend.
It's also essentially the same as voting to convict. I mean, at that point, if you are Marco Rubio and you say I'm not showing up, then you might as well have just shown up and voted to convict, correct?
Yeah, they think this vote is going to haunt. They think this vote is going to haunt them in the years or months to come. So they're going to be there.
Okay, Alex, this one's for you. Carrie from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The Democratic Party is old. Who are its next leaders? We all know about the squad. Who's bringing home the middle?
Oh, I actually think there's I think there's actually a great bench in terms of age on both sides. I mean, I think, everyone from, the Keisha Lance Bottomses to the world. I don't think you've heard the end of the, Pete Buttigieg. I think you have people like Eric Garcetti waiting in the wings. Maybe people don't think that he's like the bright shining star, but there's a lot of talent that's like in their 30, 40. Yeah.
What about the ones what about these impeachment managers who we all just
and I was going to say
this week?
Joe Neguse, definitely a star. There's a reason he was making the penultimate argument for the impeachment managers. He was fantastic. I think names like Eric Swalwell ran for president, didn't make much of a dent, but he's clearly got a lot of ambition. There are a number of people that haven't become household names yet, but are absolutely, I think, being groomed for leadership positions beyond the 4 women we know in the squad. There are a lot of people that looked at the Trump years. I mean, to Mark's point about being a prisoner of hope, there are a lot of people that lived through the last 4 years, realized that the stakes are incredibly high, and got involved in politics. And that should give us hope more than anything else. Like, we are breeding a new generation of political leaders who genuinely believe in change. And that is exhilerating.
True. And by the way, Plaskett knocked this shit out of the park this week, right?
Oh, yes. And in a cape. I mean, amazing. Yes. She was incredible.
Right. Okay, Mark, what were you saying? Sorry.
Well, I just was going to say that I think that this is something that Biden takes very seriously, too. He knows he's old. I think he said publicly that, or out loud, that he intends to be a transitional figure. And by that, I think he means that he intends to really groom and support a younger generation of leadership in the Democratic Party. Because you're right. I mean, you look at the leadership at the top, Schumer, Pelosi, Biden. I mean, they are ancient. But I think Biden gets that. And I think that's why you see, Pete Buttigieg and people like that at cabinet level positions. There is a bench there. They just haven't had a seat, and Biden's given it to them.
Yeah, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, nobody knew who they were until 4 weeks ago. And I guarantee you're going to be hearing more from those 2 men in the coming months.
Well, related to what you just said, Mark, Trish from Long Island asks, will the Democrats be able to find a message after Trump?
The Republicans, you mean?
Well, no, she asked Democrats specifically, but by all means, please answer about Republicans. You're a messaging guy, regardless. I guess Trish, forgive me if I'm interpreting your question wrong, but I'm assuming it sounds like Trish thinks Democrats have spent a lot of time talking about Trump.
No, that's a great point. Listen, it's a great question. I mean, the reality is that a big part of the message, whether it was explicit or not, was it was a vote against Trump and not necessarily a vote for Biden. Biden didn't excite a lot of people, but Trump did on both sides, as Alex said. So the vote for Joe Biden was really more a vote against Donald Trump. So you're right. The Democratic Party has to do a solid job in the next couple of years of doing, of avoiding what Alex was talking about, which is, the whole defund police. And they can't they just have to be very careful not to confirm what Sean Hannity is going to be saying on this television show every night, which is that we just handed over the presidency to a bunch of socialists in the Senate. And, you know, but I think there was, I think
the
there were
world's
a lot
crappiest
of
socialist, by the way.
Yeah, right?
No good at it. No good at it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there were lessons learned, and, you know, Democrats spent some time in the desert, and when you do that, you learn where to find water, and they found water in Joe Biden, and where his politics are, and his demeanor and his temperament. And I think a lot of people in the party said, we won for a reason, and it wasn't, you know, but we have to look beyond Trump now, and be careful not to get distracted, as Democrats often do, because it's a party of 1,000 constituencies.
Hey, I'm Clay Aiken. To hear the full episode, subscribe to This Politicon podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to pods. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show. Go to Politicon.com, follow @Politicon on social media, and listen to a new pod episode of How the Heck every Thursday.